in the arena at a college sporting event. That is the students, 18 to 22-year-olds. I was an idiot when I was 18 to 22 years old. So I'm going to give a little bit of grace there. Where I don't have a lot of grace and I don't have a lot of patience is for the national media pundits. And here's the reason why. You had a player at that point in time in college basketball who was the second best player in the nation. I mean, it was just flat out. Illinois was a team on the rise. We were a trendy pick for some teams for Final Fours, unless you were Tyler Hansbrough. And you had a star, an absolute star in the game who should have been celebrated in every way possible. Not only was he a fun, exciting basketball player to watch, but by all accounts, a first-class stand-up young man. To quote Jeff Goodman's words, he called him a sweetheart of a young man. I don't know that I've ever heard Jeff Goodman use those terms. Jeff Goodman always comes off a little prickly. You had this young man who faced a charge of rape. Anybody with any common sense should have dug into this, read the affidavit, the other information that was in our hands in the public sector. You didn't have to be the godson of one of his attorneys to get this information. As a matter of fact, I never pinged my godfather, Steve Beckett, for this information. I never once asked him, because I do believe there's a fine line between asking them and then what I can present on the show. It's kind of the same way that Ryan bagged on me about Aaron Henry. Is he's a friend, so I'm a little cautious about asking him for information. The affidavit was there. The fact is that this young man was charged with a crime that happened in early September, and was not formally charged until December. Late December, as far as we know. So there's been some talk about December 5th, and I'm not going to get into all of those logistics. But if you're going to have a public rape charge that happens in a public place, in a bar, with cameras, with bystanders, with witnesses, and you do not charge somebody for 3.5 months, all of your spidey senses should go up and say why. Now, the one thing that's out there is, was there new information that came out? Were there other witnesses? And we found out through the trial process there was none. But if you read through the affidavit, it clearly stated that Terence Shannon and this young lady were not together where this said was supposed to happen, and there was 2 minutes of total camera time where they don't know where either one of them were at. And I've said this from the beginning. Terence Shannon Jr. would have had to been the most clever rapist in the history of the planet to know how to get her outside of the cameras for that specific 2 minutes. And that clearly was not the case. That's clearly what did not happen. That did not happen. So why in the world did you, as you, Matt Norlander, Gary Parrish, Rob Douster, all of the national media talking heads, not spend any time digging into this and saying, hey, listen, I might give this kid the benefit of the doubt. Furthermore, you compounded on that by criticizing Brad Underwood and the Illinois basketball team for playing him after the fact, when a Judge Lawless, said that Illinois could not treat him any differently based on the charges that were at hand. And just the pure lack of work, of insight, of foresight, of common sense by anybody in the national media, frankly, has me pissed off. And not only that, there's been some guys in the media that have frankly backtracked, and kudos to you, because there's something in the society where nobody can admit that they were wrong anymore. Frankly, I do it a lot because I'm wrong a lot. But the fact that Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander, specifically those two in their show, which used to be my favorite college basketball podcast, have not come out and said, hey, listen, we were wrong with this, really pisses me off. And I'm going to jump on something here because Jason Ron said it. And our friend of the show, Kirk Dents, was there, and he says there's some really unbelievable things that went on in that courtroom that you wouldn't believe. But Jason Ron said it. You had a detective who admitted to not fully investigating per him, just took her word for it. Both he and the winless DA need to get fired. I'll challenge that. Here's what I think happened. I think the cops got this information and they saw right through the BS from the start. I think they saw this and said, there's nothing to prosecute here. There's nothing to charge. And they had a reckless DA in Gonzalez who wouldn't let it go. And that's why we ended up here. That's where we ended up with this young man who didn't do this crime, was being called a rapist in open public forums. And for him to perform the way he did, I have all the admiration in the world for him. And here's the other thing. One last piece, because St. Dominic's Rosary chimed in. Gary Parrish is a piece of work. Gary Parrish has been quasi-holding the woke flag for a long time. Well, Mr. Woke, there's more of us than there are of them. I know what you mean by that. You were cool. You were cool with slandering a black man based on words only. Words only. Allegations, one person's thoughts on what they said happened to somebody with no evidence whatsoever. You, my friend, need to be called on the carpet for your actions. And frankly, I hope this goes viral. I hope people repost this. I hope we can cut the clip down, because I'm pissed off at the complete lack of foresight and work that the national media did on this. And this isn't a Brandon Miller situation. A woman died. A mother died in that situation. Whether he actually committed a crime in the process or not is doesn't matter. What happens here is Terence Shannon was slandered for months, missed games, missed an All-American because of words. And nobody in the national media had the balls to step up and say, this shit sounds flimsy. This is flimsy. I think a guy's getting railroaded, because it wouldn't have taken much work or much effort to realize this was garbage.
Yeah, but you sure see him having a whole lot of takes